You know that feeling when you realize you've made a horrible financial mistake? That sinking feeling in your stomach when you check your bank account and realize you've just willingly thrown thousands of dollars into a bottomless pit? That's exactly what buying one of these cars feels like. In this video, we're counting down the 20 most unreliable cars of the last decade, the rolling money pits, the dealership frequent flyers, and the mechanical nightmares that should come with their own full-time tow truck subscription. But before we dive into the mechanical carnage, do yourself one favor that won't cost you thousands in repairs. Hit that subscribe button. Now buckle up, because this list will save your wallet from an untimely demise. Number 20, Chevrolet Spark, the fizzled-out firecracker. The Chevy Spark for model years 2013 to 2018 looked like a fun-sized solution for city driving, cheap, efficient, and easy to park. But dig a little deeper, and the sparkle starts to fade. Consumer Reports ranked it near the bottom in reliability during its run, and the IIHS wasn't impressed with its safety scores either. Owners have dealt with a parade of annoying issues, from finicky sensors to weak air conditioning. According to RepairPal, maintenance costs are surprisingly high for such a tiny car. It's not a guaranteed disaster, but between the recalls, the flimsy build, and that always something feeling, the Spark too often fizzles before the fireworks even begin. Number 19, Genesis G70. Luxury looks, economy brake rotors. The Genesis G70 for model years 2019 to 2023 came out swinging at BMW and Audi, promising performance and polish at a more affordable price. But while it nailed the luxury feel, it flubbed the reliability. Consumer Reports gave it just a 2 out of 5 for dependability, noting it slipped to a below-average rating after owners started reporting problems. And the biggest headache? Brakes. G70 owners have reported everything from brake vibrations to excessive pulsing, with many needing premature rotor replacements. Not exactly what you expect from a brand-new luxury sedan. Add in complaints about electrical glitches, rattling interiors, and peeling chrome trim, and the shine starts to wear off fast. One AAA ranking even placed the G70 among the 10 worst cars for reliability, scoring it at just 63 out of 100 overall. It's a sharp-looking ride, no doubt, but when you're swapping rotors before your second oil change, the badge on the hood doesn't mean much. Number 18, Volkswagen ID.4 software glitches on wheels. The Volkswagen ID.4, covering model years 2021 through 2025, was supposed to usher in the future, an all-electric crossover with German engineering and modern tech. What buyers got instead was a whole lot of bugs. Consumer Reports gave it a predicted reliability score of 29 out of 100, one of the worst in its class. Owners described bizarre software failures, screens freezing, backup cameras vanishing, and entire digital dashboards going dark mid-drive. VW even issued a recall to fix a software bug that could wipe out both the center display and the instrument panel. And if that wasn't enough, nearly 99,000 ID.4s were recalled over faulty door handles that could open on their own thanks to water intrusion. Another 60,000 plus vehicles were recalled because the gear position didn't show on the dash. And yes, that means rollaway risks if the parking brake wasn't set. Imagine this. You've parked, locked up, and you're halfway across the parking lot when you hear someone yell. You turn around just in time to watch your car slowly creeping out of the space, coasting straight toward a row of shopping carts, or worse, someone else's bumper. All because the dashboard didn't tell you it was still in gear. Even with software updates, the early ID.4s have left many drivers feeling more like beta testers than EV pioneers. It's sleek and futuristic on the surface, but when basic functions like park don't work reliably, it's hard to trust anything else. Number 17, Ford Escape Hybrid. Great MPG when it's not in the service bay. You'd think a hybrid SUV from Ford would be a safe bet, right? Fuel efficiency, roomy cabin, trusted badge, sounds like the total package. But for owners of the 2020 through 2025 Escape Hybrid, that dream starts to fall apart fast. Let's start with the basics. Consumer Reports didn't just raise an eyebrow, they flat out said it's unreliable and not recommended. And they're not just talking about one version. The 3-cylinder turbo and the hybrid models both made the naughty list. So what's going wrong? Try leaking coolant into engine cylinders. That's not a warning light, that's a full-blown engine replacement. And the plug-in hybrid? It was recalled before some people could even charge it due to battery fire risk. Owners were told not to charge their vehicles until the issue was fixed, But it doesn't end there. There are reports of the SUV throwing random warning lights, glitching out with software bugs, and in rare cases, stalling mid-drive. Yes, stalling in traffic. The Escape Hybrid might sip fuel, but it chews through trust. It's one of the few vehicles that made Consumer Reports' 2024 list of least reliable cars, and it earned every bit of that spot. Because when your SUV is spending more time in the service bay than on the road, those MPG stats don't mean much, do they? Number 16. Ford F-150 Lightning, struck by first-year gremlins. The 2022 to 2025 Ford F-150 Lightning was supposed to be the future of trucks, bold, powerful, and 100% electric. But for early adopters, it came with more sparks than expected. And not the good kind. In early 2023, Ford had to halt production and recall 18 trucks after one caught fire while charging. Yes, caught fire. At least 5 Lightning battery fires were reported in total, and owners were told to limit charging to 80% until engineers could figure out how to keep the truck from becoming a rolling campfire. But the battery drama was just the start. Some Lightnings dropped into turtle mode, that's Ford speak for sudden power loss while driving, thanks to a glitch in the powertrain control module. And then came another recall, this time for nearly 12,000 trucks that could unexpectedly shift into neutral while driving. Picture cruising down the highway, and suddenly your truck decides, you know what, I'm done. Consumer Reports picked up on the chaos early and ranked the Lightning as one of the 10 least reliable models, citing a predicted reliability score well below average. To be fair, Ford has rolled out fixes through recalls and over-the-air updates, and many owners still rave about how it drives, when it drives. But for a first-gen EV truck, the Lightning has lived up to its name in all the wrong ways: high voltage, unpredictable behavior, and a whole lot of noise. Number 15. Rivian R1T Adventure Truck with Recall Luggage. The Rivian R1T burst onto the scene in 2022 as the EV world's rugged new toy, all-wheel drive, gear tunnel, camp kitchen potential, and the promise of being the future of off-road adventure. But under all that shiny tech and marketing hype was something a little less exciting: a bolt that might fall out. In late 2022, Rivian issued a recall for over 12,000 trucks, basically every R1T they built, due to a front suspension fastener that might not have been torqued properly. Translation: a loose bolt that could mess with your wheel alignment, or in extreme cases, send a tire wandering off without permission. Not exactly the kind of off-roading you want from your six-figure truck. To their credit, Rivian said it only affected about 1% of vehicles, but they weren't taking chances. They recalled nearly all of them for inspection. And that was just the third recall of the year. Earlier ones covered issues with airbag sensors and seatbelt anchors. You know, minor stuff like safety. Beyond recalls, owners have reported glitchy touchscreens, unexplained 12-volt battery drain, which can leave the truck completely unresponsive, and some early build issues like panel misalignment and water leaks in the tailgate. Consumer Reports still has limited data, but even they flagged the R1T for poor predicted reliability, thanks to all the first-gen growing pains. Rivian's been quick with fixes and proactive with service, but here's the bottom line: the R1T may be built for adventure. Just be ready for detours to the service center. And if you're lucky, none of those include chasing a wheel down the highway. Number 14. GMC Canyon, a professional-grade pain. From 2015 to 2022, the GMC Canyon promised rugged performance in a mid-size package, the kind of truck that could handle work, weekend adventures, and everything in between. But for many owners, what they actually got was a truck with a habit of breaking down professionally. The Canyon shares its DNA with the Chevy Colorado, and spoiler alert, we'll get to that mess next. But let's focus on the problems under this particular hood. Hard shifting, hesitation, and transmission shuddering were common, especially in models with GM's infamous 8-speed automatic. So common, in fact, that a class action lawsuit was filed, alleging the 8-speed in 2015 to 2019 trucks and SUVs was flat-out defective. But wait, it gets better, or worse, if you live anywhere with a summer. The 2015 and 2016 models are notorious for AC condenser failures that leave drivers sweating through their shirts while staring down a $1,000 repair bill. Car Complaints lists AC failure as the top issue across multiple model years. Consumer Reports wasn't impressed either. The Canyon consistently scored poorly in reliability and was ranked the second least reliable new vehicle in their 2024 survey. Owners have taken to calling it the can't yawn, as in, it can't shift smoothly, can't stay cool, and can't seem to shake its spot on this list. And if this one gave you heartburn, brace yourself. GM's next appearance is coming up immediately after this. Number 13. Chevrolet Colorado, the not-so-rock-solid Colorado. Hope you've grabbed your heartburn chewables because everything that went wrong with the GMC Canyon, it's back. But this time with even more complaints, courtesy of the higher-selling Chevy Colorado from 2015 to 2022. Consumer Reports ranked it the third worst vehicle for reliability in 2024, trailing right behind its corporate twin, and for good reason. Hundreds of owners have reported AC systems that gave up the ghost just out of warranty, compressors and condensers failing in back-to-back summers like clockwork. One poor soul on Car Complaints said his air conditioning quit 3 years in a row. Chevy's slogan used to be like a rock, but this truck? More like an ice cube left on a dashboard. And let's not forget the infamous 8-speed transmission. Owners reported a shudder at highway speeds that felt like driving over rumble strips, except there weren't any. GM's go-to fix? Flush the fluid and cross your fingers. That didn't stop the lawsuits. Even the little things weren't spared. Sudden loss of power steering? Yep, there's a recall for that. Engine stalling from bad fuel sensors, and a general feeling that your mid-size adventure vehicle might just fall apart before your weekend even starts. It's got the looks, the size, and the off-road chops, but when your truck chews through parts faster than a teenager through gas money, it's hard to call the Colorado dependable. For many owners, the only thing rock solid about the Colorado was the steady stream of repair bills. Number 12. Nissan Pathfinder lost its path with the transmission. The Nissan Pathfinder was once a rugged, go-anywhere SUV. But between 2013 and 2020, it reinvented itself as a comfy family crossover, and then promptly drove itself into a ditch, thanks to one of the most hated transmissions in recent memory, the CVT. Consumer Reports hammered the Pathfinder year after year for much worse than average reliability, almost entirely because of its transmission issues. Owners reported shuddering, jerking, slipping, or outright failure, often before hitting 100,000 miles. And we're not talking about a few isolated lemons here. The problem was so widespread that Nissan extended the transmission warranty and ultimately shelled out $277 million for a class action settlement to cover defective CVTs across several models. The 2013 Pathfinder, highlighted in bright red on Consumer Reports survey and labeled a full-blown clunker on Car Complaints. Some even reported their SUVs randomly shutting off mid-drive, traced back to the CVT or the transmission control module waving the white flag. There were also problems with cooling systems, power steering, and other supporting cast members in this drama. But nothing overshadowed the main villain. As J.D. Power put it, Nissan's dependability scores during this period were tanked by the sheer volume of transmission failures. And here's the kicker. This SUV is literally named the Pathfinder. But for thousands of frustrated owners, it couldn't even find its way to the end of the driveway without slipping into limp mode. Number 11. Jeep Renegade. Off-road styling, off-the-charts issues. The Jeep Renegade, sold from 2015 to 2020, looks like a rugged little off-roader, but behind the boxy styling is a subcompact crossover built in Italy on a Fiat platform, and unfortunately, it carries the reliability reputation of both brands. Spoiler, that's not a compliment. J.D. Power often ranks the Renegade near the bottom of its segment, and Consumer Reports hasn't been much kinder. So what goes wrong? Well, a bit of everything. The 9-speed automatic transmission is clunky, jerky, and occasionally just refuses to engage gears. It's like playing a game of will it shift today every time you hit the gas. Owners report lurching acceleration, software glitches, and a grab bag of electrical problems, from phantom check engine lights to radios that randomly quit and backup cameras that prefer suspense over functionality. Car Complaints even lists reports of engines stalling without warning, usually traced to bad sensors or buggy engine control software. One owner summed it up best. Fun when it works, but it's in the shop every other month. Maintenance costs are higher than average for a small SUV, and even its fuel economy underwhelms. As one industry site put it, the Renegade's high maintenance costs and reliability concerns outweigh its benefits. It may wear a Jeep badge, but when you add it all up, glitchy electronics, transmission tantrums, and sky-high service bills, this baby Jeep feels less like a trailblazer and more like a recurring charge on your credit card. And yes, "Fix it again, Tony" still hits a little too close to home. Number 10. Dodge Journey. The journey to the repair shop. By the time it left production in 2020, the Dodge Journey had been dragging itself through the crossover segment for over a decade, and its reliability aged about as well as a carton of milk left in the sun. Dubbed the rental fleet queen, the Journey was Dodge's budget-friendly, 3-row crossover. But behind the low sticker price was a masterclass in mechanical frustration. Consumer Reports ranked it at the bottom of its class almost every year, with owners reporting issues across the board: electrical, engine, transmission, you name it. Its electrical gremlins became legendary. Think door locks that stopped working, tire pressure warnings that never shut up, and batteries that drained like they were haunted. And then there's the drivetrain. Early models had a 4-speed automatic. Yes, 4, that felt ancient even back then, while the V6 guzzled oil like it was training for a competition. RepairPal shows the Journey racking up above-average maintenance costs, and Car Complaints is full of horror stories, including one titled, "My Journey Left Me Stranded 3 Times in 1 Month." That kind of reliability makes a tow truck part of your weekly routine. Dodge barely touched the design for years, so the same problems just kept popping up like a bad sequel. As one reviewer put it, the Journey fits somewhere between a minivan and an SUV, and between a rock and a hard place when it comes to reliability. Consumer Reports also noted owner satisfaction was abysmal, with plenty of buyers regretting the purchase entirely. So if you're looking for a dependable family vehicle, this Journey might take you somewhere. Just hope it's not the service bay again. Number 9. Jeep Grand Cherokee. Grand in name, not in reliability. The Jeep Grand Cherokee is one of the most recognizable names in the SUV world. Luxury vibes, off-road cred, and that classic Jeep badge. But from 2011 to 2023, the only thing it's been reliably good at is landing on do-not-buy lists. Consumer Reports repeatedly ranked it below average for reliability, and early models from the 2011 to 2021 generation were especially rough. The 2014 and 2015 Grand Cherokees were plagued by transmission issues, hard shifting, jerking, and outright failure. Car Complaints gave the 2015 model their infamous "Avoid Like the Plague" badge, which says pretty much everything you need to know. But the real showstopper? The 2011 model's notorious TIPM failure. That's the Totally Integrated Power Module, which sounds fancy but mostly led to engines stalling, not starting, or going completely haywire. The issue became so widespread that Jeep had to issue a major recall just to keep vehicles from shutting off mid-drive. And the hits kept coming: leaky sunroofs, glitchy electronics, backup cameras that loved to go dark, and air suspensions that didn't love cold weather. Even the all-new WL generation that debuted in 2021 didn't get a clean slate. The Grand Cherokee L, the 3-row version, debuted with software bugs, blank screens, and made it all the way to number 6 on Consumer Reports' least reliable list for 2023. The regular 2-row Grand Cherokee was close behind at number 7. So yes, the Grand Cherokee looks ready for adventure, and it feels upscale on the inside. But when your warning lights outshine your headlights, it doesn't matter how nice the leather is. Jeep may have gone grand with the branding, but the only thing consistent here is the trip to the mechanic. Number 8. Ford F-150 Hybrid Power Boost. Boost in tech, bust in reliability. Taking America's best-selling truck and slapping on hybrid tech sounded like a bold move. Efficient, modern, and packed with torque. But for owners of the 2021 to 2023 F-150 Power Boost, that boost came with a side of unreliability that's hard to ignore. In fact, Consumer Reports ranked it as the least reliable new vehicle in America. That's not just bad. That's historic levels of bad. So, what's going wrong? Pretty much everything. The Power Boost's drivetrain, a twin-turbo V6 mated to an electric motor and a 10-speed transmission, has been a hotbed of problems. Engine failures, abrupt transmission jerks, hybrid systems that shut down mid-drive. Not exactly the smooth, high-tech experience Ford promised. In one alarming case, a power boost went up in flames on the side of the road. The driver barely escaped as the truck was swallowed by fire. Ford investigated, but didn't offer many answers. And while not every truck catches fire, many owners report constant headaches with the software. The onboard generator system, ProPower Onboard, sometimes just refuses to work, spitting out error codes, like it's allergic to electricity. Then there's the hybrid battery system. Some trucks won't properly recharge, leaving owners stranded with a dead 12-volt and no backup plan. Add in a recall for oil leaks that could contact hot exhaust components. Again, fire risk, and you've got a truck that's impressive in all the wrong ways. One survey gave the Power Boost a reliability score of 4 out of 100. You didn't mishear that. That's basically an F-. Even die-hard Ford fans in the forums are scratching their heads. "I don't get the Power Boost hate," one said, only to be met with a laundry list of burned-out owners sharing their issues. Sure, the Power Boost offers great torque and fuel economy, but when it's spending more time in limp mode than on the road, the only thing it's really boosting is your frustration. Number 7. Tesla Model X, Falcon doors and frequent flaws. The Tesla Model X launched with a bang. Falcon wing doors, spaceship vibes, and acceleration that could embarrass a supercar. But since 2016, this high-tech SUV has been less about futuristic innovation and more about frequent service appointments. Consumer Reports has ranked the Model X among the least reliable vehicles on the market, often calling its dependability much worse than average. At one point, they even pulled their recommendation, entirely due to the sheer volume of owner-reported problems. And let's start with the obvious, the doors. Those flashy Falcon wing rear doors, they're notorious. Some won't latch, others get stuck halfway up, and some just love to throw constant sensor warnings like they're afraid of commitment. Even the front doors, which are motorized, have had their share of drama. Some wouldn't open from the outside, while others opened on their own. Nothing like your luxury EV deciding to greet passing pedestrians without your permission. And here's the wild part. This isn't some entry-level EV. The Model X starts around $86,000, with the high-performance Plaid version exceeding $100,000, making it one of the most expensive SUVs on the road. So when it needs a service visit just to fix the doors, you start to wonder what all that money really bought you. But the issues don't stop at the hinges. Owners have reported faulty air suspension, finicky autopilot sensors, and panoramic windshields that gave early buyers a dose of double vision, requiring full replacements. Add in a few recalls for things like rear seats not latching in a crash and roof trim pieces flying off at speed, and suddenly that sleek exterior starts to look a little fragile. Even Consumer Reports' own auto testing chief, Jake Fisher, pointed out that as Tesla crammed more tech into the Model X, things got messy. Even the front doors have been a headache, he noted, and the reliability ratings reflect that, consistently near the bottom. Now, here's the weird part. Despite all these issues, owner satisfaction has historically been high, though sentiment around the brand has been shifting for reasons that have little to do with the mechanics. Maybe satisfaction was high due to the wow factor, or maybe some folks just really love charging their car next to a service center. But when your SUV's claim to fame includes ghost doors, software glitches, and roof trim that tries to escape at 70 miles per hour, you've officially earned a spot on this list. Number 6. Land Rover Discovery, an expedition in expensive repairs. If you've ever wanted to go on an adventure, and by adventure, we mean a journey through electrical gremlins, suspension failures, and sky-high service bills, the Land Rover Discovery from 2017 to 2020 is your ticket. This luxury SUV doesn't just take you off-road, it takes you straight to the service department. Frequently. J.D. Power has consistently ranked Land Rover near the bottom for dependability, and in 2023 the brand proudly landed dead last, with 273 problems per 100 vehicles. The Discovery helped earn that honor. Owners have dealt with a laundry list of issues: infotainment systems that freeze or randomly reboot, digital gauge clusters that go blank, and enough false warning lights to make you feel like you're piloting a malfunctioning space shuttle. Mechanically, things don't get much better. The air suspension has a habit of leaking, causing the vehicle to sink overnight, like it's doing a sad slow-motion squat. The diesel engine had a recall for crankshaft failures, And the supercharged V6 developed timing chain rattles that sounded more like a toolbox than a powertrain. Maintaining one out of warranty? Kelley Blue Book calls it high cost of ownership. Translation: kiss your savings goodbye. There's a reason people joke that the most reliable part of a Land Rover is the tow truck that follows it. In 2019 alone, the Discovery had 4 recalls, covering everything from faulty seatbelt pre-tensioners to backup cameras that just gave up, and owner forums packed with horror stories. One poor soul said their Discovery spent more time at the dealership than in their own driveway in the first year. Consumer Reports data put the Discovery near the bottom of luxury midsize SUVs, and owners didn't hold back on their disappointment. So while it might impress the neighbors when it's clean and parked in the driveway, the real discovery happens after the check engine light comes on and never goes off. Number 5. Fiat 500L. Little lemon on wheels. The Fiat 500L arrived in 2014 with quirky European styling, clever packaging, and a reliability record that went downhill faster than a Vespa on a mountain road. Its launch ad showed the car falling from the sky, which honestly feels about right, because keeping one running often took an act of divine intervention. This stretched 4-door version of the Fiat 500 quickly earned the kind of attention no automaker wants. In 2014, Consumer Reports gave it one of the lowest reliability scores ever, and it barely improved in the years that followed. Owners reported issues in just about every category: engines with failing ignition coils, oil consumption problems, a dual-clutch transmission that shifted like it had trust issues, and more electrical gremlins than a haunted pinball machine. Fit and finish? Also a mess. Loose trim, rattles, and dashboards that felt like they were assembled during a lunch break. According to Consumer Reports, the 500L was 145% worse than the average car in terms of problems. And yes, that's a real stat. Car Complaints is filled with horror stories. One owner called it the worst vehicle I have owned in 45 years of driving after dealing with multiple transmission replacements and total electrical shutdowns. Fiat Chrysler issued a few recalls, airbags, transmission sensors, the usual suspects, but the problems never really went away. Eventually, Fiat just pulled the plug on the 500L in North America in 2020, citing poor sales. But let's be honest, the real sales killer was its reputation. The 500L may have been practical on paper, but when owners are stuck waiting weeks for replacement parts from Italy, practicality goes out the window. As Kelley Blue Book put it, used car shoppers should steer clear, and with a transmission this twitchy, you'd better hope it lets you steer at all. Number 4. The Chrysler 200. 200 strikes out. The Chrysler 200 was supposed to be the brand's big comeback in the midsize sedan world: sleek design, modern features, and a bold new direction. But for the 2015 to 2017 model years, it became a cautionary tale of what happens when you rush unproven tech to market and hope for the best. Revived in 2015 with a brand new platform, the 200 barely made it 2 model years before Chrysler quietly yanked it from production, and the exit wasn't just about poor sales. It was about reliability, or the complete lack of it. The biggest problem? That fancy 9-speed automatic transmission. It was supposed to bring smoothness and efficiency. What it delivered was gear hunting, rough shifting, and full-on transmission failure, sometimes at shockingly low mileage. Some owners even reported the car stalling mid-drive, as if it just decided to take a nap while merging onto the freeway. Kelley Blue Book noted frequent complaints about the Chrysler 200's mechanical reliability, and it wasn't just the transmission. The 2.4-liter Tiger Shark engine had its own issue: excessive oil consumption. Many owners had no idea anything was wrong until their engine seized, bone dry. Fiat Chrysler tried to smooth things over by offering oil consumption tests or quietly extending warranties, but by then, the damage was done. In 2015, Consumer Reports named the Chrysler 200 the single worst vehicle in its annual reliability rankings, dead last out of every car tested. Even Sergio Marchionne, then CEO of Fiat Chrysler, admitted the 2000 was a lousy product. That's not shade from a rival brand, that's straight from the top. There was a recall, a software update campaign, and plenty of hope that things would turn around. They didn't. Consumer Reports summed it up with brutal honesty. Excessive oil consumption, transmission failure, and costly repairs make it a poor choice. So yes, the 200 had a sharp look, but under the hood, it was a mechanical migraine, and Chrysler's decision to kill it early might have been the best thing they ever did for their reputation. Number 3, the Jeep Wrangler. The Wrangler wobbles and more. Few vehicles inspire loyalty like the Jeep Wrangler. Owners love them, worship them, tattoo them on their arms, and then take them straight to the service department because for all its off-road prowess, the Wrangler has spent years battling one reliability issue after another. Let's start with the infamous death wobble, a violent high-speed steering shake that happens when the front axle hits a bump just the wrong way. The steering wheel starts oscillating like it's possessed, and it doesn't stop until you slow to a crawl. It's been a problem on Wranglers for decades, but the 2018 to 2019 JL generation brought it to the spotlight. Complaints poured in. A class action lawsuit was filed. Jeep blamed the steering dampers. In 2019, Fiat Chrysler extended the warranty and offered upgraded parts, but owners still weren't thrilled. Some demanded buybacks. Jeep settled, offering free fixes, but no returns. And that's just one issue. The Wrangler also suffers from a host of everyday headaches: removable roofs and doors that leak water like a sieve, non-stop wind noise, and glitchy electronics. Early JL models had infotainment systems that crashed regularly and backup cameras that decided when they felt like working. The 8-speed automatic introduced in 2018, that came with shifting problems and a recall for a sensor glitch that could throw the truck into neutral without warning. Even the simpler 2015 to 2017 JK models had issues, from leaking oil coolers to airbags that might not deploy when you actually need them. Consumer Reports has kept the Wrangler near the bottom of its reliability rankings for years. In 2024, it was the 9th least reliable vehicle on the list. And sure, some die-hard fans will shrug it off. They'll say it's all part of the Jeep experience. But when your daily drive feels like a test run for the Baja 1000, with death wobbles, warning lights, and rain coming through your roof, the charm starts to wear thin. The Wrangler is tough, no doubt, but it's also a rolling contradiction, built for the trail, but often derailed by its own design. Number 2, the Jeep Cherokee 9 Gears of Nightmare. When Jeep brought back the Cherokee in 2014, it was supposed to be a sleek, modern crossover for the digital age. What they actually delivered was 9 gears of pure chaos. The KL generation Cherokee quickly became infamous for its ZF 9-speed automatic transmission, and not in a good way. CarComplaints.com didn't sugarcoat it. They flat out said, the Cherokee's transmission is junk. And they weren't wrong. The 2014 model alone racked up over 400 transmission complaints, with drivers reporting everything from violent shuddering and delayed shifting to the entire gearbox just giving up and throwing itself into neutral mid-drive. Some owners didn't even make it to 40,000 miles before their transmission waved the white flag. Jeep issued multiple software updates, a recall for a stuck valve, and even new calibrations to fix the shifting logic. But the problems just kept coming. One driver reported their Cherokee lost all power while doing 65 on a crowded freeway, and they were far from the only one. Other owners described sudden gear lockouts, total transmission failures, and a vehicle that never seemed sure what gear it wanted to be in. And the fun didn't stop at the gearbox. The 3.2-liter V6 had its own issues, including stalling at idle, while electrical gremlins caused the service four-wheel drive light to come on for no reason, often due to software bugs in the all-wheel drive system. By 2016, Consumer Reports had gathered enough data to rank the Cherokee's reliability as far below average, and the 2014 model was one of the lowest-rated vehicles of the year. The Cherokee never truly recovered. Even after a mid-cycle refresh, the problems lingered. And in 2023, Jeep's parent company Stellantis quietly pulled the plug on the Cherokee. No direct replacement, no big farewell. Just a gentle fade-out after nearly a decade of dysfunction. For its mix of fragile tech, transmission trauma, and electrical nonsense wrapped in a stylish package, the Cherokee earns the runner-up spot on this list. As one reviewer joked, some drivers would literally rather face a Cherokee warpath than deal with that 9-speed again. Number 1. The Ford Focus and Ford Fiesta. Power shift to Problem City. And now taking the crown for the single worst automotive disaster of the last decade. We give you not one, but two cars, united by one deeply flawed piece of engineering: Ford's power shift dual-clutch transmission. The 2012 to 2018 Ford Focus and the 2011 to 2019 Ford Fiesta were compact cars that looked great on paper. Affordable, fuel-efficient, fun to drive. But owners quickly discovered that driving them was more like riding a mechanical bull with a personality disorder. At the heart of the chaos was the PowerShift 6-speed dry dual-clutch automatic. Sounds advanced, right? In reality, it was jerky, hesitant, and downright dangerous. Drivers reported violent shuddering, delayed acceleration, gear slipping, grinding noises, and even sudden loss of power. Tap the gas, and the car might wait, then lurch forward like it had just been startled awake from a nap. Ford service departments were flooded with complaints. Techs replaced clutch packs, updated software, crossed their fingers, and still the problems persisted. According to internal emails unearthed by a Detroit Free Press investigation, Ford knew about the issues from the very beginning. One engineer described the launch behavior as a nasty judder. Another admitted they could never get a smooth calibration. But Ford sold them anyway. Over 1.5 million of these cars hit U.S. roads, and the class action lawsuits came soon after. The 2014 Focus alone racked up over 300 transmission complaints on carcomplaints.com and earned the infamous Beware of the Clunker badge. By 2016, Consumer Reports had buried both models with some of the worst reliability ratings in their segments. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration fielded thousands of complaints. Ford eventually settled the class action lawsuit in 2020, offering buybacks and extended warranties, but by then, the damage was done. Resale values tanked. Ford's reputation for small cars took a direct hit, and the jokes rolled in. Some called it the faulty shift. Others just referred to it as, "That time I almost got rear-ended merging onto the highway." And while the transmission got most of the headlines, these cars had other problems too. Door latches that failed and had to be recalled, clutch fibers contaminating the transmission control module, you name it. If you bought one of these, you either learned to live with the whiplash or you joined the long line of people filing lemon law paperwork. This wasn't just a reliability hiccup. It was a full-blown industry scandal, a failure that cost Ford millions, stranded drivers across the country, and turned two popular cars into textbook examples of what not to build. That's why the PowerShift-equipped Focus and Fiesta aren't just bad, they're the worst. And there you have it, the 20 most unreliable cars of the past decade. From death wobbles and ghost transmissions to dashboards that reboot like Windows 95, these are the vehicles that made mechanics rich and owners very, very tired. Whether you've owned one of these rolling regrets or just dodged a bullet at the used car lot, drop a comment below. We want to hear your horror stories. Or if you're one of the rare few who actually like their Fiesta, well, we've got questions. If you found this video helpful, or at least entertaining in a laugh through the pain kind of way, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. We've got more car deep dives, tips, and buyer beware countdowns coming your way. Until then, drive safe, steer clear of mystery warning lights, and maybe skip that great deal on Craigslist.